Beach with the details. Good morning, Madison.
Good morning, Mike. President Trump has two high-stakes meetings at Mar-a-Lago in the next few days. The first is with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy tomorrow, and the next day is with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. So it seems as though foreign policy...
Zelenskyy will meet tomorrow at Mar-a-Lago. They're going to discuss a 20-point peace plan that will hopefully end the war with Russia. Madison Scarpino is in West Palm Beach, and she's got the latest on tomorrow's meeting and what's at stake.
Yeah, hey, Joey. President Trump has previously said he wouldn't meet with Zelenskyy unless they were close to a deal. Well, the two are now meeting.
8 injured in Russia's latest attack on Ukraine's second largest city. There is a 9-month-old baby with a head injury, says Kharkiv's emergency medical chief. Still, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says a peace plan is 90% ready. Some documents are already prepared. I see they're almost completed, he says. Zelenskyy has been drumming up support from world leaders, including
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy at Mar-a-Lago this afternoon in his final effort of the year to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Madeline Rivera joins us live in Washington, D.C. with the details. Hi, Maddie.
Good morning. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says they've made many compromises in this 20-point plan to try and get this war to an end. But there are still sticking points like territorial issues, control of a Russian-occupied power plant, and...
He's the man of war, but he's afraid to speak about publicly. Dear Mark, Prime Minister, dear journalists, dear Canada, thank you for your support, first of all. And thanks for your... the words that you mentioned about this tonight attack. It was really very difficult, hard attack. The Russia launched more than 500 drones, and that's not enough. Afraid to speak about publicly. Dear Mark, Prime Minister, dear journalists, dear Canada, thank you for your support, first of all. And thanks for your the words that you mentioned about this tonight attack. It was really very difficult, hard attack. The Russia launched more than
електриці, водопостачання, нічого не було. А зараз опалення нема, водопостачання чуть-чуть дали.
Ми не можемо поступитися ні своїми територіями, ні своїми інтересами, а тим більше скорочувати наше військо, нашу армію, тому що агресор, ми всі розуміємо, що він на цьому не зупиниться. Я сподіваюся, що
The world's attention has once again turned toward the United States as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy prepares for a highly significant meeting with former U.S. President Donald Trump in Florida. This meeting comes at a critical moment as the Russia-Ukraine war is approaching its 4th year, with no clear end in sight and with violence continuing to escalate across Ukrainian territory. The talks are scheduled to take place at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, where Trump is currently spending time, and Ukrainian officials have described the meeting as a potentially decisive moment for the future of the conflict. For Ukraine, this is not just another diplomatic engagement. It is a meeting filled with hope, urgency, and risk. Kyiv believes that Trump's position and influence could play a decisive role in shaping the next phase of the war, or even opening the door to a possible peace process. Zelenskyy is seeking firm assurances from the United States, particularly around long-term security guarantees that would prevent Russia from launching future invasions once the fighting stops. At the heart of the discussions is a detailed peace framework that Ukrainian and American officials have been quietly working on for months. According to reports, this peace proposal includes around 20 key points and is said to be nearly 90% complete. The plan focuses on ending active hostilities, establishing strong security guarantees for Ukraine, ensuring economic assistance, and reconstruction funding, and defining a long-term mechanism to maintain peace and stability in the region. However, some of the most difficult and controversial issues remain unresolved. One of the most sensitive topics expected to be discussed is territory. Large parts of eastern Ukraine, including areas in the Donbas region, remain contested, while Russia continues to exert control over strategic locations such as the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine has repeatedly stated that it will not accept any peace deal that compromises its sovereignty or permanently gives up its territory. Russia, on the other hand, has shown little willingness to retreat from the regions it currently occupies. This fundamental disagreement makes any peace negotiation extremely complex. The timing of the Florida meeting is also significant because it comes just days after Russia launched another wave of heavy missile and drone attacks on Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities. These strikes caused widespread damage to civilian infrastructure, leaving thousands without electricity and heating during harsh winter conditions. Several people were killed or injured, and residential areas suffered extensive destruction. Analysts believe these attacks may have been intended to strengthen Russia's position ahead of diplomatic talks, or to send a message that Moscow is not ready to compromise for President Zelenskyy. The meeting with Trump represents a chance to secure unwavering American backing at a moment when Ukraine's resources are stretched and public fatigue with the war is growing worldwide. Ukraine wants the United States to commit not only to continued military assistance, but also to legally binding security guarantees after any ceasefire. Kyiv fears that without such guarantees, Russia could simply regroup and launch another attack in the future, repeating the cycle of conflict. Donald Trump's role in this situation is viewed as particularly influential and controversial. Trump has repeatedly claimed that the war would never have started if he had remained in office, and has suggested that he could bring the conflict to an end through negotiations. Supporters see him as a deal-maker capable of forcing progress where others have failed. Critics, however, worry that Trump may push Ukraine toward concessions, including territorial compromises, in order to secure a quick agreement. This concern makes Zelenskyy's approach to the meeting especially cautious and strategic. In the days leading up to the Florida talks, Zelenskyy engaged in intensive diplomatic activity. He visited Canada, where he met with the Canadian Prime Minister and secured additional economic and political support for Ukraine. He also held virtual discussions with several European leaders, emphasizing the need for unity and continued pressure on Russia. Ukraine's leaders, despite these efforts, major challenges remain. One of the biggest obstacles is the fact that Russia is not directly involved in these talks. Many experts argue that any peace plan developed without Moscow's participation risks being ineffective or unenforceable. Russia has already signaled its opposition to key elements of Ukraine's proposed framework and continues to rely on military pressure to strengthen its negotiating position. This raises serious questions about how any agreement reached in Florida could be implemented on the ground. The international community is closely watching the Trump-Zelenskyy meeting because its outcome could reshape the broader geopolitical landscape. A strong U.S. commitment to Ukraine would send a clear message to Moscow and reinforce Western unity. On the other hand, a shift toward compromise or reduced support could dramatically alter the balance of power and influence future conflicts beyond Ukraine. This meeting also highlights the broader uncertainty surrounding the future of U.S. foreign policy. Trump's approach to international conflicts has often differed sharply from traditional U.S. strategies, favoring direct negotiations and transactional agreements. Whether this approach can deliver a durable peace in Ukraine remains an open question. As the meeting approaches, expectations are high, but so are the risks. The decisions and signals that emerge from Florida could determine whether the war moves closer to a negotiated settlement or enters another prolonged and destructive phase. For Ukraine, the stakes could not be higher. For the United States, the meeting represents a test of leadership and global responsibility. And for the world, it may mark a turning point in one of the most consequential conflicts of the modern era. All eyes are now on Florida, where two leaders, facing immense pressure and history-defining choices, are set to discuss a future that could shape Europe's security and global politics for years to come.